So I was doing my homework the other night, and by that I mean pretty much doing whatever I could to procrastinate until the last second possible. While this was all going on, I stumbled upon a series of videos on YouTube entitled Draw My Life. They were basically these visual autobiographies by some of the most popular YouTubers. So I thought to myself, wouldn't it be pretty cool to open up to the town that made me who I am today for my last segment? So without further ado, here's my own Draw My Life. On the night of January 25th, 1995, I, Francis Louis Gerace, was born. I always hated the name Francis because I always thought that made me feel like a nerd. So I always had people call me Frank or Frankie. It made me feel a little bit manlier. Apparently my birth was a big deal to my family because before that, a lot of my relatives had passed away. My mom even had a miscarriage. My family was broken, and I guess my birth sorta healed the wounds. Anyway, my immediate family consists of a mom, a dad, 2 brothers, a dog, 2 loving grandparents. My dad worked as a naval engineer, working on submarines and battleships, and he was always traveling. One time I remember, my dad packed up all the bags and said, "We're going to Hawaii." So we hopped on a plane and flew over to the most tropical place on the planet. What was even crazier is that my parents decided we would live out there for my dad's work. Living in Hawaii, it was awesome. Up until my dad was stationed back in Philadelphia. So we left, and as I say it there, aloha Hawaii. It was after this time that for some unknown reason, I started to develop red cheeks. I wouldn't realize it until now that what I had was called rosacea. It's not life-threatening or anything, but it always separated me from everyone else. I'm not one to point fingers, but it was pretty much the source to the beginning of my self-esteem issues. I was a really shy kid back then, so much so that I always wished I could fly just so I could avoid any interaction possible. Instead, since I wasn't exactly the friendliest, I became the biggest bookworm ever. I dug my head into the books and was pumping out grades like a well-oiled machine. I was successful in school, but I still felt a void because I just felt alone. And when there wasn't friends to confide in, there was food. And boy oh boy was there food. I grew my hair out, started to rock out to heavy metal, and did my best upon this rebellious act. In school I was fine, like mentally, I was all there, but physically, I was a mess. But no matter how I looked or acted, I knew I could always look for support from my grandpa. He sure was a character. He had this slick back hair that made him look like a mobster, and he loved to watch shows like Judge Judy. What I liked most about him was that even when I was at my lowest, he still made me feel like I was $1,000,000. When I was about 13 or 14, my grandpa passed away. As my mom told me, went to live with the angels. I was completely devastated, and to this day, I don't think I ever cried as much as I did there. My biggest support was ripped away from me, but what should have destroyed me, didn't. I decided I would owe to my grandpa to be a better person. So I cut my hair, got really involved with basketball, which I still love today, and got over the hill, which was my shyness. And for the first time, I felt like the man. I finally made some good friends, but more importantly, I had my first real crush. She was best friends with one of my close girlfriends, and she stuck out to me. She was born with a cleft lip and palate, which always made her stand out in a group of people, but for some reason, I never noticed that. I saw this girl that was funny, smart, and could backtalk anybody if she had to. Her name was Sarah, and after I finally built up enough courage, I stuck out my chest and asked her out, and long story short, she's my girlfriend ever since. But we'll continue with her in a moment. Let's fast forward the clock to high school. After jumping from friend group to friend group, I finally found a close-knit group of people who were just awesome to hang with. And I joined student council, which has had such a huge influence on me, I can't even describe it. It was during this time that I had enough of my reputation as being the quieter kid, and I found joy in making people laugh, whether it was through being a class clown or just doing something stupid. As long as making people LOL, I was a happy camper. Laughter is seriously the best medicine when you think about it. But as most high schoolers already know, everything isn't all sunshine and rainbows. To this day, I always feel like I have so much pressure on me, mainly because I've always set these high expectations for myself, and when you're constantly stressing yourself out, things can get pretty nasty. I found myself in a dark place where I just hated the face I saw in the mirror. I felt as if all my mistakes and failed goals were just catching up to me, and I couldn't escape them. I was scared of the future, and to be honest, I didn't know if I was ready to face it. Just when I felt like there was no hope, there was Sarah. She picked me up and made me see the silver lining in all these situations. She was there for me when I felt like I had nowhere else to go, and now she's one of the few people I can honestly trust. Between Sarah and my family, they practically saved my life. I can never fully thank them for that. Things have been a lot better now though. I've learned to deal with my stress and not worry as much. I found a hobby in graphic design, and even enjoying this little thing you might know as Monthly Rewind. which was awesome because people would come up to me and say, "Hey, I saw your video on TV last night." It almost made me feel like the man again. And now I'm ready to start the next chapter of my life. Next fall, I'm going off to Drexel University to study engineering. But who knows, maybe I might get into film and production again. Like the great quote from Carl Sandburg, "I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm on my way." I'm done letting the future scare me. Life is supposed to be tough and mysterious. That's the way individual character is built. Every obstacle thrown at me, every experience encountered, every person met has made me the person I am today. And I can't help but be grateful for that. So, I guess, for the last time, this has been Frank Gerace, reporting for Monthly Rewind, Season 17. Thanks, guys.